Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amari Green, Premier Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Rumble. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. We got Jacob in Wisconsin here to talk some Packers. Obviously, took the night off last night, but gave you guys an oldie but a goodie as we re-aired the interview with Tony Mandarich that we did last year. It was a lot of fun breaking that down and got a lot of good feedback. We'll kind of dive into that first and foremost. Matter of fact, let's just jump into it, and then I'll see if you guys got anything before we jump into the topic for tonight. So over in our Patreon group, just had a couple comments about it. Thought it was cool. Papa Smurf says, the Mandarich interview was inspiring. Great job. CJN said, this interview with Tony Mandarich is awesome, not just for the fans of your show, but for the show itself. Absolutely proud to be going into my third season with this group and watching the channel grow. So tremendously proud of you and the PTA crew. We appreciate those kind words, CJN.
Yeah, well said, CJN, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then Trevor Anderson said, I'm a little behind. Well, first, let me say this about the Tony Mandarich thing. If you guys haven't heard it, I know we've got a lot of new viewers and a lot of new listeners. That's the reason you're seeing new feedback. I had a bunch of YouTube comments, people going, this is awesome. Has nothing to do with me in the interview. It was all Tony just telling his story. I mean, you're talking about a guy who, when you hear the name Tony Mandarich, because the media took it and he's the greatest bust in NFL draft history and blah, blah, blah. The guy ended up playing like 10 years in the league, 8 years in the league, something like that. But because he didn't live up to that number 2 hot. And I love how he told his story from a sense of, I was stupid coming in the league. Like I was immature. I was selfish. I was all these things. And I don't know if you guys, when was the last time you heard it, but I tried to give him an out.
Today. I heard it today on the way home. Yeah.
My favorite part of it was I tried to give him an out. Like, well, listen, Tony, I'm kind of paraphrasing, but I was like, that team, they were a dumpster fire in '89. You know what I mean? Like they were still trying to get everything situated. That was, before they really, went and got Mike Holmgren and this and that. And I was trying to give him like hey, look, it ain't just all you. The organization was in a bad place then. And he fired right back and was like, they gave me every opportunity to be successful.
Yep.
So no Tony Mandarich slander on this program. I'm sorry, just can't have it. I love the fact that he's bold in his faith and hey, look, he made some mistakes and now he's got his life straightened out. And man, just a great conversation. We message each other from time to time, and it's an honor to call him a friend of the show and all that. Yep. So anything you guys want to add to that before we get into this?
My biggest takeaway was when you guys wrapped that interview up in the second hour, and he was basically talking about him doing public speaking and trying to tell his story, and he said basically that there's a lot of people that got the first half of his story, and maybe not everyone's interested in the second half of his story and how it turned out, but boy, does it help him in his recovery and his process and the journey that he's on. And even if it reaches one person, it's worth it. And I think it's a testament to him owning his mistakes of his past and, being the man that we see before us today. So I'm real grateful that he took that time, man, to sit down with you and do that interview, man. It was awesome.
The part that impacted me the most, Jacob, was like when he said, everybody, and I'm paraphrasing again, but it was like, I remember him specifically saying, everybody's kind of passionate about this and they're bold about their faith in that, and they're bold about their stance here politically and this and that. We need to be a little more bold about our faith, meaning Christian,
Yep.
And not to say you go out and knock other people. It's just like, hold up a minute. We've kind of been lulled into this whole, well, I don't want to push it on anybody. I don't want to mention my faith, this and that. And he's like, flush that. I'm done with that. I love that aspect of it, of the message he gave there. But anyway, Jacob, anything?
Yeah, no, I haven't listened to it in the last maybe 3-4 months, but I have listened to it multiple times. And like Tim said, a lot of people know how his career started and then the mid part, but a lot of people have no idea that, I believe, wasn't it the Colts where he ended up having a really good career? I mean, a really, really good career. I wouldn't even say like a decent career, like a really good, solid career. Obviously, he's going to have that stigma of being a bust no matter what, but I think it's nice listening to the guy. You can clearly tell that he has battled internal demons and came across the other side and has won, and he doesn't hold any regrets or, I think, shame. He's very willing to admit, like, hey, I F this up, and I did it multiple times, and I had people that were trying to help me along the way, and I spit in their face, basically, and then, like, it's honestly refreshing to see somebody that says, it was me. Nobody else is to blame.
Ability and ownership, and that's missing in this world, right, Jacob?
Yeah. Shout out to, because now my new favorite card that I have, and I've got a lot of memorabilia, is the Tony Mandrich sign.
Yeah.
Did we get that from, was it Rick who sent those out to us?
Mm-hmm. And here's what's crazy. Rick messaged me today. I believe it was either today or last night. And this was so cool. I thought he sent those cards because of that interview. But keep in mind, our listener and viewership is just like grown. I mean, like we're averaging over 200,000 views per every 28 days, including all of our content, right? So I just assumed, that's why he sent the Tony Mandrich card. Here's what he messaged me. And he said, hey, Clayton, didn't mean to bothered you, but I just watched the Tony Mandrich interview you did. Incredible. Thanks for that. So wild that I sent all 4 of you guys autographed cards of Tony, not knowing about the interview. I'm so glad I did. What a great individual. I said, that's crazy. I just assumed you did because you did it because I interviewed. And he said, not at all. I just really like Tony. What a classy guy. And to survive what he went through is a true miracle. That was one of the best podcasts I've ever listened to. Thanks for that. Really inspirational. He asked if he ever been back to Lambeau, and I said, I don't think he has. Originally, we were talking about, hey, let's try to get him up there for the draft and this and that. I dropped the ball there. I didn't follow back up. I should have been like, hey, Tony, let's get you up here, But there's a fine line, too. When you're talking to former players and this and that, Emilio will tell you this.
Yep.
I'm the dude, like when we were at the restaurant that night, Tim, you seen it.
Yeah,
I ain't going to talk to nobody. Like, I'm just kind of like, I don't want to. They're trying to have a comfortable moment. And I'm not trying to dog anybody who does that, but that's just my personality. Yeah. Again, Mandy refers to me as a stick in the mud. Emilio going over, throwing his arms around players, snapping selfies and taking pictures. He don't give a rat's, you know what. So I think he actually asked a couple of those players. I think he went over to Bullard's table and asked him if he could hold 100. That's what I think happened there. But Ed Madden says Tony Mandrich was a good guard for, I think, the Colts. He was. He ended up playing for the Colts and got everything straightened out. And again, just go back and listen to it because I don't want to screw it up.
That's the huge thing that gets glossed over in his story, and he won't take any credit for it. But the fact that he said it himself, he went from not being able to get off the couch as a person that was dealing with addiction and other issues to literally putting together 3 solid seasons as a pro in Indianapolis. And that in and of itself is, you got to love a comeback story, right? Who doesn't love a comeback story? And that's one of the best. So big shout out to Tony Mandrich.
Yeah. 2-0 for this says, is there a reason Tony hasn't gone back to Lambeau? I don't think so. Now, if I remember correctly, I want to say he's in Texas or Arizona now, and he owns a business down there. Mm-hmm. But the other thing that kind of made me hesitant on the whole draft thing was, not wanting to bother him, but also if he were to go to the draft and hang out with us and we had one of these casual ass fans.
Oh man, I already know.
First of all, Tony could twist their head off their shoulder, but I'm probably going to end up there in the Brown County Clink for the evening. I'm just telling you, because that's probably one of the reasons to over this is because when you hear Packer fans talk about Tony, it's always about being a bust and being a bust and being a bust.
Right.
And I'm telling you, man, when we aired that, there was none of those comments. People were like, holy cow, I had no idea that's what this dude went through and fought through and this and that. And again, he didn't play victim at all. Like all this stuff he said he brought onto himself. So
maybe we can get him up here for camp this summer. Maybe we can maybe reach out. The invitation's definitely open.
Mm-hmm. Because, and we'll move on after this, but the vibe I get is even though it was kind of a negative experience for him in Green Bay, it was all self-induced. And that was the thing that turned his life around, was like realizing, all right, I gotta get my head out of my, so
for sure.
I'm with you. Chris says Mandrich should come back to Lambeau this season. I would love that, man. Would absolutely love that. So, all right. In the Patreon group, Trevor Anderson says, I'm a little behind, but listening to you talk about Shamar Stewart And I don't think he holds any blame for the contract situation. All he wants is a normal rookie contract, and the Bengals are trying to work in language never before used by any or in any rookie deal to get precedent the entire league will be able to use. He is 100% right to not let them do that. It seems every contract situation the Bengals made it a sideshow. I agree with the latter part. However, Trevor, it was reported that 20 other teams use the same exact language in their rookie deals. And again, Shamar Stewart's side saying they're trying to make sure they get some of the guaranteed money back if it don't work out. And then on the agent side, which was Adam Schefter talking about, you guys know these insiders are typically getting information from the agents group, whichever one you believe, that's cool. But he said they were trying to put language in the contract that if anything happened off the field, he would have to pay the guaranteed money back. There was certain aspect of that. So I agree the Bengals are a crap show, but if this was going on with any other team right now, and it kind of feels like Shamar Stewart, if there are indeed 20 other teams that have the same language in their contract, there's only one who's refused. And here's the other thing. He refused to sign the document to participate in the mini camp. Okay. And what that means is, hey, you're covered. If you get hurt, you're covered. Your money's guaranteed. Come in and contribute in the mini camp. He refused to sign that until his main contract was done. Yeah. He was the only rookie to do that this year, to the best of my knowledge. So that's another thing that kind of throws a little bit of a red flag. And then he walked out on practice the other day and this and that. Again, this isn't to try to paint Shamar Stewart as any worse than this whole incident may already have him looking. And the Bengals are a horrible organization. There's no two ways about it. So I think both things can be true to a certain extent, but I did hear that 20 other teams had that same language. Just want to mention that there, Trevor. Anything you guys want to add to that comment here in the Patreon group? Anything at all?
Yeah, I mean, with all the quote-unquote drama that the Packers have kind of been engulfed in, especially the last maybe 3, 4, 5 years, it is nice to see that there are other teams going that have – I mean, I'll be honest. If I was a Bengals fan, I would be pulling my hair out just at that front office, just being, why are you doing this to us? Like, can you just walk away and just stop stirring the pot and getting every single person that is important to this team absolutely livid? Because it seems like that's all they're really good at nowadays is
right,
pissing off every single person that they have on that team and the fan base to the point where they're going out and making like press conferences at practice. You know what I mean? So again, it's just nice to take a step back and realize that even though it's not perfect, it's not all rainbows and unicorns and all that, but being a Packer fan is definitely, things could be a lot worse. You could be a Bears fan.
You got that right. H.E. Solder says, do we know what the clawback language was for the other 20 teams? Bengals position seems overly broad. Yeah, the only thing I heard was Adam Schefter say on that morning pod that it was about the Bengals wanted to make sure they were protected if any off-the-field incidents occurred, meaning they could get that guaranteed money back. And he was trying to have it put in the contract that if something did happen, he still gets the guaranteed money. That's the way I understood it there. And it's really weird because Adam Schefter, like I said, typically comes from the agent's side, right? So it was just kind of odd. Maybe, and here's the other thing, maybe some people in the organization went to Schefter and put a birdie out there that, hey, this is what's really going on, and that might not even be true. Who knows, right? So, again, I'm glad you bring it up, though, Trevor, because it makes me appreciative of how the Packers are doing business with their organization and obviously these signings and everything. Chase Green says, Clayton, I want to know who is pulling on counter run plays now that Jenkins is at center. Is it Banks, Morgan, Sean Ryan? Those counter plays create explosives last season in the 49ers and others. I know there's plenty of tape out there on Banks, Chase, of him getting to the next level. I mean, there was one clip of him running. They ran a counter left. So he didn't, obviously didn't pull across the formation, but he kicked out and he was like 35 yards downfield blocking. I can't remember who posted that clip when we first signed him.
That was right when we signed him. I remember seeing that. That's when I said, man, that dude can move for a guy that big, man.
Right. And on top of that, you guys remember last year, there was one play in particular. I want to say it was within the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. Sean Ryan, 45 yards down the field as a lead blocker. So, Chase, I don't think you want to – not that you would want to do this, but I think as an organization or as a scheming point, you don't want to be predictable and like, here's our pull guard, here's our pull guard, here's our pull guard, right? You want to be able to do it pretty much from any angle, from any side, and keep the defense guessing. But I'm with you. Elton was good at that. Elton was really good at arriving at confrontation under control. And that's where Josh Myers struggled. Josh Myers had the athleticism to get down there. He had the athleticism to get out to the next level from the center position.
That was the problem a lot of the times, is he was at the next level when he didn't need to be.
Right. And when he got out there, it was like, okay, I made it. Now what the hell do I do? Right. So, yeah. All right. Let's see here. Brambo says they want all to be able to void all the guaranteed money in one infraction versus just the contract year it happened in, which 20 other teams didn't ride in, unless Ryan's pod from today is wrong. So it sounds like there was 20 teams that didn't ride it in. So that means there's 12, if that's accurate. There's 12 teams that did ride it in, is what it sounds like. So you're kind of seeing this shift now, right? Where the rookies are going, okay, they've already got us hemmed up where this money is somewhat limited in terms of the overall contract. And now you got to work out the guarantees and this and that and the other. But it sounds like now they're trying to pull back a little bit more to get a little more leverage in that regard. So I need to go listen to Ryan's pod. I hadn't heard it yet. It's been a kind of a busy day, busy in a bad way, not a good day. Usually when you're busy, you get to listen to a lot of pods. Today it was one of those getting pissed off because you were constantly having to take the earbuds out of the ears. You know what I mean? One of those days. So appreciate that information, Brambo. You're the man. All right, that's going to do it for the Patreon group. Let's dive into a little Packers Lions talk. Before we do, Jacob, do you got anything you've come across today, man? Anything at all that maybe came down the pike? I know news is kind of dead this time of year, but yeah, anything?
Honestly, no. I mean, I've been trying to find like little nuggets or articles. There's just really nothing. Although, hey, if you want to talk about stuff I found, I was telling the guys, I'll show you guys. Went to Goodwill today. Just trying to get like a little piece of soap for the gym, and then stumbled on 3 unique Brett Favre plates, all numbered, individual itemized, 3 different ones. They were for $2.99. Tim said he looked them up online. They're anywhere from 30 to 40, 50 bucks. So get her
Score.
done.
Love
yeah. It. I like to thrift. You know what I mean?
Hey, Mandy hit the jackpot in Rockford, Illinois the other day. She just started firing pictures over to me. They were up there for a wedding.
Packers stronghold, by the way, for all you Bears fans in Illinois. Rockford is deep with Packer fans for sure.
So she just started firing these pictures of, hey, do you want this program? Bro, they're in perfect condition. I told you guys about this. 1992, 93, 94, 95, 96. I've been reading them. It's like my bedtime story every night going through there, man, and seeing the old ads and everything. It's absolutely awesome. I thought about doing an episode and sharing some content on the Patreon group, take some pictures of that program, just some key, maybe my favorite 3 or 4 pages, just to take people back in time a little bit. Really, really, really cool how it was set up. So, yeah, Jacob.
Clint says, rap with them. Shut up, Clint. No.
That's a great idea, Clint. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we should do that, Jacob. Come on. Be a team player, Jacob.
To be fair, I got nowhere to put them. So
you got to get the 4th. It's a 4-piece set.
And they come with these nice little metal clanks on the thing.
Yeah, I see that. Is there like a stand? It's own little stand?
So you can hook them and hang them.
Oh, nice.
Right on the wall. Boy, I tell you, I'm so proud of myself. Oof.
All right, let's get into it. Little Packers Lions talk. So what we did here, PFF has updated their website. This is really, really cool. Not that weird picture, but it's really cool how they've done this. So you guys remember last year when you go into the week of a game and you could look at the lineup matchups? Well, now they've got it year round where you can match up any 2 lineups like that. So it's really, really cool. Now, listen, we're somewhat limited in the information here from a stance of they may have some guys starting in these starting lineups that we would disagree with, but we can just kind of patch it together and mention those specific positions. But anyway, how do the Packers stack up against the Lions? Below is a PFF comparison of the Packers-Lions matchup. If you guys want to check this out yourself, just go to patreon.com/PackerFan Total Access or scan the QR code in the upper right. This is a part of the exclusive content that we send you guys, just putting a bunch of information together. And listen, you're not going to get these long, lengthy articles like you do on other websites. This is just going to be straight to the point. Hey, here's what you're looking at. Here's the comparison, that type of stuff. Just data-driven type approach. So below is the PFF comparison of the Packers-Lions matchups, all right? And here's what we did. We started off with 11 versus nickel, okay? 11 versus nickel, and I'll try to I can scroll up and down. I want to keep this on the screen where you guys can see it well enough. So when we look at the 11 personnel here for the Green Bay Packers, let's start on the offensive line. From left to right, Rasheed Walker, 68, Banks, 65, Jenkins, 65, Morgan, 59, but kind of an incomplete grade with the injury, and then Zach Tom, just a solid 85.8 grade. Now, when you look at their defensive line across the front there for their nickel set, from left to right, you've got from the defense's perspective, so keep in mind this is right edge. From our perspective, we're going to say, the left side, all right? Davenport, 53, but an incomplete grade. Williams must be a rookie. I don't know who that is. Number 91, incomplete grade. McNeil, 79.6. Somebody help me in the chat. Is it McNeil starting the season hurt? If you guys would check that for me in the chat real quick and post down there. You guys keep an eye on it for me. I'm pretty sure McNeil got hurt late in the season last year with a knee injury. So, and then, of course, Aiden Hutchinson destroyed his leg last year, and he's going to be looking to try to come back. Now, will he be ready for week one? We'll see. Again, I'm kind of hesitant on just a slam dunk. Yeah, he's going to be perfectly fine this year because that dude's leg looked like linguine wrapped around that other dude's leg.
Confirmed it on McNeil, Clay. He ACL injury.
Yeah. So, and Brambo said he's hurt bad.
Yep.
I'm wondering what week, Tim, do you know what week that was by chance?
Week 15, December 15th against the Bills. So that would be what, week 15?
Mm-hmm.
If you had, I'm just spitballing, 15, 14, something along there.
That's pretty late, bro. Yeah, December 16th ACL is what ACAM's saying. So week 15's Bates just confirmed. Week 15. So you're looking at, golly, that would have been December. So you're looking 10 months, I think is what Gary came back on, if I remember correctly.
I'm just saying December 16th ACL.
Yeah. So if it was December 16th, 12 months would be December 16th. Then you go back 10 months, so it would be November. So you're probably looking at a mid-October return for him at the earliest, I would imagine, for a big fella like that. So that's going to play into that early season, you know what I mean? Early season competing there. So Aaron Rodgers with the super chat. Thank you, buddy. Says, what's up, fellas? I see the vision. My post on X blew up with the comparison of the Sports Illustrated picture of the 2011 offense. Go Pack, go. Oh, that's right. You photoshopped in some guys, didn't you?
That was dope.
Yeah, we need to, don't let me forget, and we'll try to show that at the end of the show when we get through this information. It was really cool. He basically took and added Matthew Golden. You guys remember that Sports Illustrated picture of Aaron Rodgers sitting there with his receivers? Mm-hmm. So he photoshopped in Jordan Love and Matthew Golden. It looked pretty clean, too. I ain't going to lie, man. For me, that thing would look like a third grader did it. So pretty smooth by Aaron. Thank you for the super chat, buddy. I love it, man. And listen, that could be the case, That could be the case. One thing about comparing Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love in their early careers, Aaron's early portion of his career and where Jordan's at right now, there's no two ways about it. Aaron Rodgers had much better receivers those first 4 years as a starter. There's no doubt about that. So thank you for that super chat. So across the front there, again, guys, you're looking at their two best players on that defensive line, Jacob, starting the season banged up, man. And I don't know when Aiden Hutchinson will come back. It just depends on how that rehab went. We'll find out. I can't imagine he participated fully in the mini camp and everything, but we'll find out in training camp if he's good to go yet or not.
Yeah, I mean, the Lions team right now, I hate saying that they're a paper tiger or anything like that, but there are so many questions and a lot of questions that aren't going to get answered until week one. And a lot of theories will be put to test. But like you said, I mean, if McNeil's not there, Hutchinson's on the mend. That Williams guy, I believe, is a first-year guy. Davenport's not great. The secondary looks like they need to take a step up for sure. I know they're usually pretty comfortable with their linebackers. I think Anzalone is one of the more overrated guys as far as just being like consistently. You see his name flashing around, but I feel like he's always graded a little bit under where people think he is. I mean, losing both your coordinators, I think a lot of that can compound on over itself. And plus the fact that the Lions don't know how to be consistently a good team. This is all new to them. This is the newest. This is the best they've been in like 40 years. So honestly, for them just to be able to take that winning tradition and carry it through adversity from one season to the next, I'll believe it when I see it. Because honestly, everything that we've seen for, again, the last 40 years shows me that's a flash in the pan. They got a little lucky. We'll see if they can sustain it. My guess is that they're going to take a pretty big regression.
Yeah. Tim, Chase Green says here in the chat, I want to see 30 rushing attempts against the Lions week 1 and just run them over. We need a hot start. Do all the NFC wildcard teams in the mix. I mean, you look at Josh Jacobs is great here too, man. The third highest graded running back at a 92.3 going up against what could be, I mean, that could be a very banged up defensive line if they're not healthy week 1, man. I could see us running a rock on them. As you get to the linebacker position, Tim, you got Campbell with a 78.7 and then Anzalone at that 66.9. We know Anzalone is somewhat of a hybrid backer, probably play outside backer and kind of that rush backer from time to time in their base as well. But what do you think about that, man?
I'm loving it. And just at a glance, I'm looking forward to seeing Matt Golden light up Terry and Arnold. That's going to be fun. That'll be fun to watch. That'll be must-see TV. But Aiden Hutchinson is good to go. So the kid's 24. He'll be 25 this year. He was cleared a couple of weeks ago, I believe. So I don't know, what that means for how they're going to, insert him into the lineup right away or if they're going to handle him with kid gloves or whatever. But I think he's going to be playing, full go for camp. Ron Sandoval confirming. So we'll have to see. But then again, that's one man, right? They got some holes there up front. So I agree with the sentiment of pounding the rock. I mean, Josh Jacobs is that dude for a reason, and he's only going to continue to be that dude if we're, running this offense kind of vicariously through him. And, once you get that guy's wheels turning, man, it's going to open things up in that passing game. And like you said, man, they're kind of thin. Looks a little thin in the middle there, and then corner doesn't look super intimidating to me. So I'm looking for a 30 burger on them week 1, 30 or better. Let's go.
I'm trying to see if we could get the full diagnosis of that injury.
Fibula and tibia. He broke his whole deal.
So did it tear any ligaments at all?
I don't see. I'm looking at this article is from May 22nd is the most recent one I could find here. This is NFL.com.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too, a tibia and a fibula. So maybe there were no ligament damages, and if that's the case and it was clean breaks, there's nothing clean about the way it looked on the replay.
Oh goodness,
dude, I still
I can see it.
Hey man, I just ate dinner, man. Dang,
his hand decided to hide.
Bro, it was so bad. And here's the thing, I'm kind of blood, cuts, lacerations, gunshot, all that doesn't bother me at all. When I see a bone snap, it bothers me. Mandy's like, oh, watch it again. Like,
Mandy's savage.
She is, dude, with that stuff. So
I love it.
Then again, if one of the dogs sneeze and there's some snot on the rug, she goes gagging through the house. I'm like, how does this make sense? Like, what are we even doing here? So, H.E. Soder says Packers need to run the ball and stay out of 3rd and long. Boy, do that every week.
Yes,
do that and protect the football, man.
Especially against a team like Detroit, right? We talked about those matchups last year. We kept putting ourselves behind the 8 ball, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7. It's you're making it difficult on yourself to try and convert there. So I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. So, again, their linebacking position, kind of matched up with our offensive line. And then you look at, of course, Tucker Kraft, the 23rd highest graded tight end. And we talked about some advanced metrics, things like that suggested Tucker Kraft is top 10, possibly top 5 right now. So take the PFF grade for what you will there, 67.8. You like the way he matches up against the Lions, me personally. Then when you look at their DBs against our wide receivers here, again, this is what it's showing in the starting lineup. Dobbs at the X with a 69.7 grade. Jaden Reed in the slot with a 71.7. And then you got Matthew Golden is showing no score, obviously being a rookie. You're going to be able to mix in some other players like Dontavion Wicks. Who knows what Savion Williams could potentially be this year as well. So when you look at their DBs and how they would match up, DJ Reed, Jacob, they picked him up in free agents. Go ahead. You're good, man. I've seen you cut your camera off. My bad. Reed, they signed he had a 70.7 PFF grade last year, 30th highest graded corner in the league. Obviously, pretty solid season from him. In the slot, they've got Robertson at a 64.7. And on the opposite side, look at Arnold. Terrion Arnold, rookie last year, 50.8. He was the 109th graded cornerback out of 115. And my man got grabbed last year. if they had this matchup correct, and listen, it can vary from week to week and what the coaches are seeing on the game tape and how they want to attack an offense and vice versa with the offense attacking the defense. If you had Matthew Golden matched up on Terry and Arnold, that'd be a fun matchup right there. And here's the other thing. You move Reed around and do some cheap motion outside and get him lined up outside and try to exploit Arnold when they're not in man coverage. That'd be a lot of fun as well. I like the way, Jacob, our passing game matches up against their DBs here. Now, keep in mind, they have, I think, one of, if not, the highest graded safety in the league with Kirby Joseph back there, 90.4. My boy, Brian Branch, I was so pissed off that I got roasted for saying we needed to draft Brian Branch because he's too small, he's too this, he's too that. 83.7. That's arguably the best safety tandem in the entire league, even as good as the Packers safety tandem is. But when you look at these DBs, cornerback matchup versus wide receivers, I like our chance, right? Now, the safety factor definitely tilts it a little bit back in their favor. What do you think about it, Jacob?
Yeah, like you said, I mean, I would take any of our wide receivers, to be honest, almost up to like wide receiver 7 to be able to completely I wouldn't say completely, but definitely be able to burn these guys consistently. The safety room's a little bit of a different story. Kirby Joseph's a dog, and Brian Branch is another one of those guys. I believe, Clay, isn't he kind of in that same mold where people are like, he doesn't have the numbers, he doesn't have the measurables, kind of like a Kyle Hamilton. It was back-to-back years. He went from a Brian Branch to a Kyle Hamilton to guys just like, they're just good football players. It just is what it is. Sometimes they're just not going to hit the measurables that are the RAS, certain metrics that you want them to. The bottom line is that they're just really good football players. And unfortunately, Detroit did what was, I mean, that's got to be the best safety room in the league, right? I mean, it's definitely the best safety room in the NFC North for sure. But, I think there is
definitely the dirtiest safety room.
Definitely. I was going to say they're not afraid to get a little definitely biting kneecaps there. Cornerback room, I think we got that easily. I think we even overtake the linebacker room. That safety room is pretty tough, though.
Yeah, and when you talk about Brian Branch, the other thing is he'll play the slot as well. He'll climb down there and play the nickel from time to time too. The big thing that stood out about Brian Branch coming out of college was he had the highest, let me try to think of how I can word it, the most successful tackle percentage in the PFF era. And I can't remember what year that started, but it goes pretty far back, damn near 20 years, I believe it was. It was well over 10 years. I remember that. When you get stuff like that shows up, like, wow, his missed tackle percentage is the best in the history of college football up to this point, according to PFF, you got to kind of take a flyer on that. You got to look at that and go, okay, that's something historic, So Brian Branch, definitely another X factor there. Kirby Joseph, though, I hate Kirby Joseph. I can't stand that dude as a player. But, boy, if he was playing for the Packers, I'd probably have his jersey. You know what I mean? It's just one of those deals. So when people say he plays dirty, he does. I played dirty in sports, too, so I kind of appreciate that. When it happens to your team, you hate it. That's just the way I see it. So 2-0 for this says Tucker Kraft hates Kirby. I have a feeling he will go after him hard. I loved it last year when he tried to take his legs out, upended him, and look back like, did I get him? Like I hurt him. Tucker does the Shawn Michaels flip up to his feet. Kirby quickly turned his head around like he didn't see it and walked off. That's gonna be a fun rivalry for years to come as well. So, anything else you guys want to hit here other than Jordan Love, 75.8, 20th highest graded quarterback in the league? Now, you guys know with QBR, he was 10th in the league in QBR. When you looked at some of the EPA stuff, he was much closer to 10 than he was 20. So I kind of put Jordan Love based off his performance last year, even though he was battling 3 injuries. I think he was somewhere around the 13 or 14 mark in the league. Me personally is where I would put him. So with a healthy Jordan Love, I think you're going to get a top 10 quarterback. I really believe that. But anything else you guys want to add to that conversation? We kind of hit on Josh Jacobs there too with a 92.3.
I just maybe wrapping up Detroit's back end there in the secondary. You mentioned, oh my gosh, can you scroll back up here? I'm drawing a blank.
Joseph
Branch. That dirty bastard. Yeah, Branch.
Branch is a little dirty too. You're right, man.
Yep. Stepping into the slot a little bit, right? And I kind of like that. I feel like you're going to entice them to want to bring him down there by running the football. And maybe if we can get them out of their nickel, we know Detroit will man up. They're not afraid of it. They're not afraid to go single high look either. And with that in mind, I think you got to challenge them. I'm like you, Clayton. I'm a big believer in like, oh, you get your best, we'll bring our best, and we're going to take it to each other. We're not going to let anybody live on reputation or last season's numbers or PFF grades. I say challenge that secondary. I feel like in the short to mid range passing game, we have a chance to get things going because, like we said, the corner play is not that intimidating. I think we have good receivers and tight ends, and they look a little soft up front here right now and in the middle. So maybe you can get them to creep up, and then when you get that opportunity, man, let that shot play fly. We know Jordan loves to let it fly. So I think we've got a really good chance to go out here week one and set the tone in 2025 and finally get the Detroit Lions off our back and just beat their asses week one. That's where
And it's so hard for defenses to have back-to-back great seasons. It happens every year, but there's just 2 or 3 that typically do. And the reason being is you got all this tape on that defense now, right? Well, on top of that, they lose Aaron Glenn, so they lose their leader on defense and defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn. And if I remember correctly, he took a coach or 2 with him as well. So that coaching staff is depleted. We're going to come away this year with one or two, things that we're going to be thinking. Dan Campbell's the real deal, or Dan Campbell ain't anything. Because if he puts this back together and gets him back to 12, 13, 14 wins without the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator, Dan Campbell was the magic. It wasn't those guys. But if they fall flat on their face and they come out and win 6 or 7 games, which nobody is talking about that being a possibility, if that happens, maybe Dan Campbell getting exposed here. So I'm excited to see how that shakes out as well. H.E. Soder says, too many times in 2024, the early game play calling sequence did not get Love into a rhythm, and then they press. See, I disagree with that comment. Not completely, because every game's a little different. What we seen on Chalk Talk all year long was Jordan not taking the check down. Like it was, and it wasn't even that he wasn't taking the check down. I get tired of saying this because I've said it. I feel like I've said it 1,000 times, but it's all over the tape. It's not that he didn't get to the check. He didn't get to the check down on time. Like you have got to get to that. You got to know, like if you come out and you read a split safety look, you're reading rotation. Let's just say it's strictly a passing play and you've already decided we're going to throw the ball here. You got to read the rotation early, and you got to know there's my number one. If it ain't there, get to the check down as quick as possible. What you seen Jordan doing was going 1, 3, back to 1. Now let's go to the check down, and the defense is already all over the check down. That's what I've seen on the tape.
We saw that when we were talking about Jaden Reed with the supposed drops, right?
Right.
Great example of getting to the read a little late, balls behind, everything's out of rhythm.
And again, here's the other thing too, to defend Soder here. We don't know how Matt's coaching Jordan up either. I know this. We didn't hear Matt say one time at the pressers, not that he would throw his quarterback under the bus, but we didn't hear him say one time, Jordan's got to do a better job of reading the defense and getting to the check down, right? He always said Jordan's just trying to make a play. So maybe in the background, he is saying to Jordan, hey, look, be aggressive. Let's drive this ball down the field. That could be happening too, right? But that's just my interpretation of the majority of the tape. Not always, but the majority of the tape. I think Matt, when you look at the separation, he can scheme some dudes open, man. You look at Tucker Kraft's average separation. It ain't because Tucker Kraft's shaking people out of their boots. He's running butt naked through the trailer park, and that's Matt LaFleur. That ain't Tucker Kraft there, Now, Tucker Kraft bulldozing people, snowplowing people, that's Tucker Kraft. So appreciate that comment there, though, Soder. Let's go on to 12 personnel real quick. And actually, did I go to 12 yet? We're still on nickel, right? Let me hop down to our offense just real quick, just to look at the matchup. When they go to their base 4-3, they're going to have Anzalone, Campbell, and then they bring in Barnes. Is that Chris Barnes, or is that a different Barnes? It's got to be a different Barnes, right? Or did they sign Chris
Barnes? Was on the Eagles, right?
Let's see here.
Didn't Barnes go to the Eagles?
He was there last year for sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Barnes.
He was in San Francisco for a while too, wasn't he?
That's Derek Barnes.
That's Derek Barnes. Okay.
Yeah. So that's Derek Barnes there. So anyway, he's going to come in and play Sam Backer. Now, it looked like he didn't have a significant amount of snaps last year, 71.8. And then, of course, you got Musgrave coming in, had an incomplete grade as well, but did have a grade of 47.1. So you this is a perfect example of when you look at that just strictly from the grades, you would like to say, let's stay in 11 personnel over 12. And this kind of goes back to the conversation we've had all offseason. We want to get more healthy Luke Musgrave out there and get a little more 12. All the explosives that we showed on Chalk Talk this year were all in 11 personnel. I don't think that's a coincidence. Doesn't mean you can't go out and ball out in 12, but that's another example of going into the season. You're trying to decide, all right, do we stick with what worked, or do we try to change it up knowing the defense is going to key in on what worked and try to stop us? There is your quick 12 matchup there. Anything else you guys?
Real quick, the chat wanted to correct us here. Barnes did not go to the Eagles.
Oren
Niners. Oren Burks went to the San Francisco, and also
where did Chris Barnes end up then?
The Cardinals.
Yeah,
there we go.
That's what we just said. We just looked it up. It was Derek Barnes that's there. That's who's with the Lions. But yeah, Chris Barnes is still with Arizona, and he and Jordan Love do a camp together every year. They're still really good friends. Yep. He was on the team Jordan's rookie year, maybe his second year too. So, but yeah, it was Oren Burks was the one that put the hat on the football, wasn't it?
Sure was.
Leading with the crown of the helmet.
Somebody was blocked though, but we will not name names.
Exactly. Anything else? Anything else you guys want to add to our offense versus Detroit's defense? Any parting thoughts before we move on to our defense versus Detroit's offense?
30 burger week 1. Let's go.
I'll play the Eagles on the damn moon. That was my favorite Tim comment last year. Jacob, you got anything else on it?
No, but Bates is saying, I believe Chris may be a free agent at the moment. Just wink, wink, nod, nod.
Hey. Face you like to chew your backer twice, right? Porter Doug says Savion in the second tight end position. Hey,
hello.
I'll tell you. I'll say this, man. One thing that Matt LaFleur likes to do, and they did it a little bit last year, even with Christian Watson out, he likes to line up a wide receiver in that wing position, right? Which is essentially like in between. If you could see my cursor here, they would line up right here. Imagine this tight end right here in this spot, right? He likes to go 11 personnel, and he would put Christian Watson right there and help with the run blocking and stuff and work them out of the backfield type thing. They would also do like a play fake with a sift over, and he would leak out, that type of stuff. Coach Lynn saying Savion in the H position. That's essentially what we're talking about here, right? Yeah. It's going to be interesting. All that's going to be determined in camp on how much of the playbook Savion can pick up and whether he looks like he can handle it his rookie year or not. If so, you're probably going to see some Savion in the backfield. You are. I'll tell you what I would like to see too. I think it'd be fun. Imagine coming out in 11 personnel. All right, let me go back up to 11 here. So imagine you come out in 11 personnel with the Packers offense. All right. And let's say that, instead of Dobbs, you've got Savion Williams, but you come out in an empty set. Imagine Josh Jacobs out here far left, and you're in an empty 11 personnel, right? And then all of a sudden you shift Reed and Savion Williams into the backfield. So what you do is if they're in man coverage, that's going to be identified. When you walk that T out, which is the running back, when you walk him out wide and a linebacker follows him over, we know it's man coverage. And then you shift those two receivers to the backfield. They've got to make a decision now. Yep. Their linebacker is now on the boundary. So that means they're going to be bringing a cornerback in to play in the box. And I would just love to see Savion Williams get a crack at Brian Branch head on. Because Savion, if it translates from college to the pros, that dude will run through a MFer's face. No two ways about it.
Might explain the shoulder issue, right? coming out of college.
Exactly. So it's all going to come down to can he pick up that playbook in time, right? That's what it's going to come down to. So, all right, that's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we'll see you on the other side for hour 2, where we're going to break down the Packers defense against the Lions offense, according to PFF. We appreciate y'all.